Thompson heaving one down the sideline, and he's got Castle over the top. Big side, down the sideline. Touchdown! His signature move and his signature performance. Allen, big ball one more time. 58 yards this time.
You're listening to the Bruin Bible. This is your host, Will Decker, bringing you UCLA football content all throughout the year for LA Football Network.
What's up, Bruin Bible listeners? This is your host, Will Decker. Wanted to bring you the sponsors for today's episode, Bet Online, where the gambling starts. I've got a bunch of good bets going on right now. I've got the Lakers making the playoffs. We've got futures bets coming around for MLB baseball. March Madness is around the corner. NBA playoffs on the horizon too. Make sure to check out all of the gambling and all of your gambling needs at Bet Online, where the gambling starts. Make sure to use promo code LAFB to get a little discount. Everything is great on Bet Online. I use it weekly for all my gambling needs. Make sure to check it out. What is up, Bruin Bible listeners? We have another advertisement for you. We are so lucky to be sponsored by the great people at Athletic Greens. I started taking Athletic Greens specifically because I was lacking energy, lacking focus throughout the day, and needed some special pick-me-up ingredients to make things happen in my life. Athletic Greens has done just that. I've become absolutely addicted to the process. It has over 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, adaptogens to make your life easier by doing this during the day. I like to take it to start my mornings off. I like to do it before a workout. Makes you feel energized, focused, and just have a lot more energy throughout the day than I typically expected. Right now it's the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/LAFB. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/LAFB to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens, a game changer when it comes to your health and your focus and your mindset.
What is up, and welcome to LA Football Network. This is Will Decker, your host. I'm joined by Adam Breneman and my co-host, Paula Barrantes. Adam, we are so thrilled to have you on the show today. We do a segment called the Bruin Bible, which is UCLA football stuff. So I'm really interested in getting your takes on the Pac-12, kind of what your thoughts are for maybe some of the early Heisman frontrunners for next year. But I want to dive into your football background, man. How did the game come to you when you were younger, and how did you end up at Penn State in the first place?
Yeah, I started when I was really young, man. My dad played football in college, right? So my dad was a tight end, D3 tight end. Was pretty good. So I literally grew up like wanting to be a tight end, which is funny because nowadays tight end's a sexy position, but back then no one actually wanted to be a tight end, right? It's a glorified lineman.
Exactly.
So I grew up running the stick route in the backyard and wanted to play tight end and just loved the game of football. My parents didn't let me play for a while until I got older, and then was always the bigger kid. Found out I was athletic randomly in 9th grade, and then a couple years later I had like 60 scholarship offers. So it happens overnight, man, and it's been a big blessing.
What made Penn State the school for you? I mean, I know you grew up in Pennsylvania area. I mean, Penn State is like the legend school out there. What made it for you, Penn State?
It's funny. Throughout my entire recruiting process, I always said I wasn't going to go to Penn State because everyone from my hometown went to Penn State. We grew up an hour away from there. I wanted to do something different. And I had, as I mentioned, I had a bunch of offers, West Coast offers, Notre Dame, SEC, Ohio State was like kind of debate. Was debate.
Wow.
I had to brag a little bit.
That's fine.
Was visiting all those schools, and then what it was is Bill O'Brien got hired at Penn State.
Billy O.B.,
yeah. Was there for 2 years, and he had just come off the Super Bowl run with Gronk and Hernandez at tight end. They each had 100-some catches, and when I saw that and he came to Penn State, the offense felt like a great fit, and it was my hometown school, man. So at the end of the day, even though I said I wasn't going to do it, I stayed home with the Penn State. My family was happy, but yeah, it ended up being the right choice.
And then you went to was it University of Penn afterwards?
UMass.
UMass. So you finished your career there, and then you became a coach for Arizona State. Am I getting that right?
Yep.
tight ends coach. How was it like coaching with Herm Edwards, a living legend amongst the coaching world?
It was awesome, man. I mean, I spent 2 years at Arizona State. First time as a graduate assistant in year one, and then as the tight ends coach in year two. It's funny. It's all about relationships, right? When I was at high school, I played in the Under Armour All-American game.
Oh, yeah.
Guess who the head coach was of that? Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
And, so then, I randomly get a call one day, and it's like someone who works for Herm. He's like, "Hey, we're looking for someone who can come coach tight ends at Arizona State." I wasn't even in coaching. I was working, and I was like, all right. So I said yes on a Friday, moved on a Monday across the country to Phoenix, and it was an awesome experience. I mean, to be as young as I was, and to be able to lead a room of tight ends, and to kind of lead and mold young men is such an awesome experience. And to learn from people like Herm. I mean, in that building we had Herm Edwards, Marvin Lewis, Pierce,
Kevin Mawai was there, right? Yeah.
We just talked I'd wake up. It was like football heaven. Just so much knowledge was in that room, and it was really, really a cool experience, and it has taught me a lot about how I view the game today.
Yeah.
So speaking of players, and we're talking about big names in the NFL, I want to ask you about Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Obviously he's changing the game of college football. What are your thoughts on Deion Sanders, and do you think that moving forward, people are going to try to emulate that and change the game of the college game in general?
Yeah, I do. It's a good question. I think there's a lot of athletic directors and school presidents that are going to regret for a long time on Deion Sanders when they should have, because a lot of schools had opportunities way bigger than Colorado to take him, and they didn't because of his, for whatever reason, he didn't have a ton of experience, whatever it was, the way he carries himself, people were afraid, and I forget his name, the AD at Colorado took a chance, and so far he hasn't coached a game yet. It's paid off.
Sure, and that was my next question. Do you think it'll be worth it? The Pac-12 is obviously going through a big change.
Yeah.
We were just talking. We think that the Pac-12 is not respected as a conference in football.
Definitely isn't.
And as a fan of the Pac-12, that hurts. But so you think it'll be worth it eventually? I mean, it's hard to tell, right? We don't know that.
I do. When I think about college football, there's one thing that it all comes down to. It's talent acquisition.
Sure.
It's recruiting.
Agreed. Yeah.
Who can recruit? It's not the X's and O's, the Jimmys and Joes, right? It's all about the players.
I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, and Deion Sanders is as good as it comes at acquiring talent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's arguably right now probably the best recruiter in the country.
Yeah.
And you've seen it with the transfers he's gotten.
Yes.
The job he did with that signing class at a program that hasn't historically recruited well. I mean,
No, man.
They haven't done a good job. So I think pretty soon, when you have great players, it turns around pretty fast. And I think we've seen him kind of change the game from a content standpoint. I mean, the amount of content they put out around Colorado, the engagement, the views, for the Pac-12 too. I mean, talk about for a conference that's in media rights negotiations, that's
desperately
trying to figure itself out, trying to figure out what our identity is. To have someone like Deion Sanders in that conference is just enormous for a lot of reasons. And the commissioner of the Pac-12, I never say his last name right, George whatever.
Clevecoff or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah. He's doing a great job. He talked about how Deion Sanders being in the Pac-12 raises what we're worth for media rights. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it raises the game so much. And I think at the end of the day, as I said, there's going to be a lot of ADs that are kicking themselves for not making that higher.
Yeah.
He's a rare, transcendent, coolness. I wasn't around to really watch him play. His heyday was, after I became a fan of football when I was too young to, really notice. But even today, I'm like, that is a cool, MFer on the sidelines.
Sure, everybody wants to be a part of it, just off of his name alone. It's like a school that you want to be a part of. It's like they're having fun, but, that's a good football mind there. So
Neon Deion, man. I mean, and you're talking about the recruiting, getting Travis Hunter to Jackson State, which is an HBCU. We've never seen that. That was the number one recruit in the country. He got I think I'm going to, blank on his name, Cormani McLean. I think the corner that just came in from Miami. He's the number one corner in the class. So, we've seen this recruiting take up. We are the LA Football Network, and I do run a show called the Bruin Bible. So we got to dive into some UCLA Bruins here. Me and my girl P are very big Bruin fans. Dante Moore. It sounds like you follow the recruiting world. This guy, I mean, I'm a little biased as a Bruins fan, but I think he's the number one quarterback coming in. We saw what he did in the Army All-American game, 4 touchdown passes, was making throws like fade routes, taking contact, hitting, receivers over the middle, advanced stuff you just don't see from high schoolers. What do you think the ceiling is with UCLA getting Dante Moore?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember being at Arizona State when we first saw Dante Moore's film, because he
Yeah.
had to have been probably a sophomore at that time. And I remember being in our offensive staff room with all the coaches and putting it on, and our quarterbacks coach being like, "This guy's elite. You know,
Yeah.
we need to go after him with everything we got." And yeah, I mean, for a few reasons, he fits the mold of what you want for a lot of from a size perspective, from the arm talent. He can make all the throws. He also, in his film, you see him use touch in those intermediate routes.
It's the accuracy, man. Yeah.
And he also creates with his legs. And I think he fits the mold of what you want in a quarterback, and especially in the Pac-12 conference right now. And then as UCLA transitions to the Big Ten, you need a quarterback that can create and that can make plays on the move, that's dynamic. And I mean, especially after you lose a guy like DTR, you need someone who's a dynamic guy that can come in and lead your program. I think they hit an absolute home run with Dante Moore.
That's another question we want to follow up too. The move to the Big Ten, we are West Coasters. We're not too familiar with the conference ourselves. We watch the Rose Bowl every year. We're going into, Death Valley, Penn State, the Big House, the Horseshoe. These are whole new environments that we're going to have to dealing with. What is Big Ten football like compared to Pac-12? Because I feel like you're a perfect person to compare this, being a coach at ASU,
I mean, the Big Ten, it's different. It's different ball. It just, I love the Pac-12, but it just means a little bit more in the Big Ten. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. It's the media markets. There's nothing other than Husker football in Nebraska. In LA, you got everything in the world to do. I saw the same thing in Arizona and Scottsdale. Like, the best thing to do isn't to go to a football game. It's
probably to spend your time in Old Town at night.
But honestly, when the transition happened, when they announced they were leaving to the Big Ten, at first I was like almost disgusted. I was like, that makes no sense.
Same.
Like, imagine
weird.
flying across the country, but just start thinking about, man, when you get the Saturday night Week 10 showdown, USC at Penn State on a Saturday. Imagine the Ohio State at UCLA game. Like, those are going to be electric matchups for college football, and college football is already becoming non-regionalized, right? It's already a nationalized sport. Recruiting's national, TV's national. It doesn't really matter anymore. I mean, and you think too. You think about teams, losing their identity when they switch conferences, but think about like when Texas A&M left to go to the SEC. Everyone was distraught. Oh, they're going to lose their identity. Now, Texas A&M, their whole identity is that they're in the SEC.
And paying players a lot of NIL money.
So I think pretty soon we all get used to it. And for UCLA and USC and for the LA market, being in the Big Ten is a good thing for them. I truly believe it.
Yeah, and initially as a fan of the Pac-12, I thought, I was like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
But you know what? If we want to get respected, then sure, just go ahead and move to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Nobody will see you as somebody that just pumps out football players, just sends them to the NFL, and then that's it. That's all you're known for.
And I'm telling you, the matchup, the Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan against USC, UCLA matchup, that fires me up a little bit more than UCLA against Washington State. I gotta be honest.
From a competition standpoint, the games just mean more. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be going to play Iowa, and an Iowa home game, the environments are crazy.
Yes.
Jump around's going to be going on in Madison, stuff like this. It's going to be absolutely nuts. We have to bring it up. I know we were talking Bruins. Caleb Williams, USC. Is he one of the best, or where would you rank him in the quarterbacks of the last 10 years when it comes to college football? Because he would probably be the number one pick this year if he was able to come out.
I mean, he's been remarkable at both places he's been at.
Oklahoma,
And you think about where, how he's kind of progressed in his career as a passer. You think back early on, he struggled a lot in the pocket, and now Lincoln Riley's got him playing comfortable, and the skill he has around him. I think the sky's the limit. Obviously, he's going to play a long time in the NFL. He's got to be one of the top three probably in the last 10 years of college football. And now the question is, can he repeat as the Heisman? And
man.
I just shot a video the other day with my Heisman dark horse as Michael Penix Jr.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I got a lot of flack for that one. That's an extreme dark horse, but I think I think we're probably getting to this topic anyway. But
no, I love it, man. Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to bring up too is we are in the Pac-12 still. We got to finish out this year. The quarterbacks in this conference it's the most loaded I've ever seen it. When you have a Caleb Williams, you have a Bo Nix who might win the Heisman himself next year. Penix Jr., your dark horse Heisman candidate. Cam Rising's been to 2 straight Rose Bowls.
Exactly.
Nobody's talking about this
Yes.
guy.
Yeah.
Dante Moore might be starting. And what's his name? Ward up at Washington
Yeah,
State's
Cam
very
Ward, yeah.
solid as well. I mean, is this the deepest you've ever seen it on the West Coast when it comes to the guys spinning the rock?
I think the Pac-12 as a whole, in the large part is quarterbacks. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember preseason last year. I was doing like the preseason prediction shows and just trashing the Pac-12. Like, it's going to be an embarrassing year for the Pac-12. And then they come out and you know, might have been the deepest conference in college football last year.
Yeah.
Not the most top-heavy, but
Sure.
I mean, they got what they end up with, like 6-7 teams in the top 25 in the year.
Exactly, man.
And that's because of the quarterbacks. I think Bo Nix, what a comeback story he's had.
Dillingham, man.
I mean, when he left Auburn, the Auburn fans hated him.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about.
I know.
I remember I tweeted like Bo Nix is a player to watch going into last season, and all the Auburn fans were like, "You're not watching his film. If you watch it, you wouldn't
Just
say
wait
that."
and see,
And then he
right.
balls out, man. And Cam Ward transfers, and with his offensive coordinator from the Incarnate Ward, and you know, Cam Rising's made big plays. Michael Penix Jr., as we talked about. I'm curious to see what happens at Arizona State. You know, who wins that job? Is it Drew Pine, the Notre Dame transfer? Is it Jaden Rashada who gets there?
Yeah, that was a big get, by the way, yeah.
There's a lot of great talent in the Pac-12, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Pac-12 to continue to stay relevant, especially when they lose their guys, you need elite quarterback play.
You do. I know you gave a dark horse Heisman with Penix Jr. Is there anybody else out there you're thinking, like Drake May from North Carolina comes to mind? You know, Caleb obviously can repeat being back again. It's very hard to do it. Only Archie Griffins has done it before. Any other Heisman guys we can hear of? Maybe even on the West
Illinois,
Coast,
you're hearing,
Midwest. You know, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jordan Travis at Florida State is one.
Very good. Yeah.
I know I played at Penn State. Obviously, I think Penn State's going to have a great year next year. They got all the pieces. They'll probably be preseason top 6 or 7 in most polls. So if they have the kind of run that they can have, I think you look at either Drew Allard, their quarterback, or Nicholas Singleton, their running back, 5 stars and potential Heisman guy. But I'm going to stick by my Michael Penix Jr. because
Okay.
listen. If it's wrong, no one will remember I said it, and if it's right, I will be clipping this.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be
We've-
all over my social media.
This will be a receipt.
We've got the clip, Adam. We got the
yeah,
clip.
we're
We'll
just-
send it
don't
over.
delete this, right?
Yeah. We got it, man.
So I want to ask you really quick your thoughts on the transfer portal. I know, you know, this has been as a Bruin fan, you know, we've been lucky with the transfer portal as well. So what are your thoughts on the transfer portal? I see a lot of mixed reviews, a lot of mixed feelings about that. Do you think it's good for college football? Is there a limit? Like you're 5 years in, buddy. Don't. What's the point of the transfer portal now? So what are your thoughts on the transfer portal?
No, that's a great point. There's a lot of mixed feelings. Coaches
Yes.
feel a certain way about it. Here's what I'll say. I always go back to advocating for the players.
Of course.
And for what's best for them. I really believe that it's difficult to ask a 16, 17, 18-year-old to make the right decision one time, the first time.
It's true.
I
That's
mean,
a fair
let's
point.
think back to what we were all doing when we were 17 years old. Like, it's a tough decision to make. To give them one chance to then get it right a second time, I'm all for it.
There's a limit.
There's a limit, yes. You look at some of the great stories in the transfer portal.
Right.
We're talking about Jalen Hurts. I mean,
Yeah,
Exactly.
Jalen
transfer
Hurts.
portal guy. You look at Bo Nix, we just talked about. You look at Caleb Williams.
Jake Bobo, thank
Jake
you.
Bobo. Yeah.
Bobo.
I actually interviewed him last week. Great
Did you
guy.
really?
Yeah.
Try not to fangirl.
He was at the Shrine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay,
I did
okay.
DTR and Jake
I did
Bobo
see
on that.
DTR,
Yeah.
yep.
So anyway, sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I think you give the guys an opportunity to get it right. There's a limit. At the end of the day, the problem that people have with the transfer portal, I believe, is not the portal itself. It's the portal combined with NIL, combined with the tampering that goes on.
It's getting muggy, yeah. The
At
waters
its
are getting
core, the transfer portal is a great thing for the athletes.
Sure.
When it gets a little muggy and a little hairy and a little pay for play, that's when people have issues with it.
Yeah, okay, it's a fair point.
Last question we got for you. You got to pick a Final Four for next year. Coming into the season,
Yeah.
who is in the 2024 college football playoff when all is said and done?
Perfect.
I
You already
haven't,
know
I haven't
this.
been asked that before, so
Yeah.
it's a little early for that, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, a little bit, but no,
Yeah.
I make sure to think about it. Okay, I'm gonna go. We gotta go Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just.
I think-
Georgia's,
I think we
yeah.
get- I think we get. How's the bracket? Georgia, Alabama, the 2 SEC teams. I'm going Penn State, and I'm going the
Fight on.
And I'm going the winner of the Pac-12, which I'm gonna say would be USC.
Wow.
See, okay, their defensive coordinator's back. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll see. All right, well, Final Four.
Final
Michael Penix
Four.
Jr., early Heisman Heisman, dark horse.
Yeah.
If he's right, this is his receipt.
We're clipping it. Yeah.
This is his receipt. Adam, thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it so
coming.
much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Saving this with Adam Breneman. Thank you for watching the Bruin Bible on LA Football Network. Adam Breneman, the man, myth, and legend. We are officially out. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.